Hello and welcome back to the Everyday English Podcast. I am Sarah, and I am so happy you are joining us today for another deep dive into real-life English. If you have been listening to English podcasts or watching YouTube lessons, you might have learned some great vocabulary recently about feelings. You might know how to say you are feeling down, or that you are feeling blue, or maybe even that you are feeling grouchy. These are excellent words for your daily life, with friends and family. But today, we have a very important warning for you. If you use those same words at work, you might be in trouble.
That is exactly right, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I am Mark. It is great to be here. And Sarah is touching on a really critical topic today. We often call this code switching. It means that the English you use at the dinner table with your family is completely different from the English you use in a meeting with your boss. If I walk into my kitchen and tell my wife, I am so grouchy today, do not talk to me, she understands. She knows I am just tired. But if I walk into my boss's office and say, I am grouchy, do not talk to me, I look unprofessional. I look like I cannot control my emotions.
Exactly, Mark. And that is the big problem. Many learners study vocabulary lists about emotions, like stressed out, furious, or on edge, and then they try to be honest at work. They want to tell their colleagues the truth. But in the corporate world, in the business world, we do not usually talk about our raw feelings. We talk about our workload. We talk about our capacity. So today, we are going to teach you how to take those negative emotions you learned, like stress, anger, and refusal, and translate them into professional business English. This is the difference between sounding like a complaining teenager and a senior manager.
I love this topic because it is not just about words, it's about your reputation. If you can master these phrases, people will respect you more. They will see you as a leader. Before we jump into the first category, if you want to make sure you never miss a lesson like this, one that can actually help your career, please take a second to subscribe to the channel. We post these deep conversations regularly to help you live your life in English. Okay, Sarah, let's start with the big one, stress.
Yes, stress. This is the most common negative emotion at work. Maybe you have too many projects. Maybe the deadline is too short. You feel panic. You feel, as we say in casual English, stressed out. You might say, I am freaking out. Or you might say, I can't handle this. Mark, why is it bad to say, I can't handle this to a manager?
That is a great question. When you say, I can't handle this, it sounds like a personal failure. It sounds like you don't have the skills or the strength to do your job. It frames the problem as an emotional problem inside of you. Your boss hears that and thinks, oh no, Mark is not strong enough for this position. But the reality is usually different. Usually the problem isn't your emotions. The problem is simple mathematics. You have too much work and not enough time.
Right. So we need to move from emotional language to logistical language. Instead of talking about stress, we talk about capacity. The magic word here is capacity. In a factory, capacity means how many cars the machine can build in one day. If the machine can build 10 cars and you ask for 11, the machine is at capacity. It is not emotional, it is just a fact. So Mark, how do we use this about ourselves?
We use it exactly the same way. If your boss gives you a new project and you feel that panic rising in your chest, do not say, I am stressed out. You should say, I am currently at capacity. Listen to that difference. I am currently at capacity. It sounds calm. It sounds objective. It means I am working as hard as I can and my schedule is full.
I love that phrase. I am at capacity. It is very firm, but very polite. There is another word that is very similar and very popular in the tech world and modern business world. That word is bandwidth, like an internet connection. If you have slow internet, you have low bandwidth. If you have fast internet, you have high bandwidth. Mark, how do humans use bandwidth?
It is funny that we talk like computers, isn't it? But yes, we do. You might hear someone say, I don't have the bandwidth for that right now. This is a perfect alternative to saying I am too tired or I am too busy. If a colleague asks you to help them with a report and you are already working 10 hours a day, you don't say, leave me alone, I am overwhelmed. You say, I would love to help, but I just don't have the bandwidth this week.
That is such a useful phrase. I don't have the bandwidth. It implies that you want to help, but your resources are limited. It is not personal. You aren't rejecting them because you don't like them. You are rejecting the task because your data pipe is full. Let's look at one more phrase for stress before we move on. This one is an idiom, and it involves tableware. Mark, what is on your plate?
Ah, yes, my plate is full.
This is a classic. Imagine you are at a buffet dinner. You have put chicken and potatoes and salad and bread on your plate. There is no more room. If you try to add one more thing, the food will fall on the floor. At work, your plate is your list of responsibilities. So if your manager tries to give you another task, you can say, "My plate is actually quite full right now." My plate is quite full. I use that one all the time. And notice how Mark added the word actually and quite. My plate is actually quite full. These are softeners. They make the sentence sound less aggressive. If you just shout, "My plate is full," it might sound rude. But if you say, "I'd love to take that on, but my plate is actually quite full right now," you sound like a professional who manages their time well.
Exactly. So to recap our first section, don't say I am stressed or I am freaking out. Say I am at capacity, I don't have the bandwidth, or my plate is full. This protects your professional image. But Sarah, what about anger? What if it is not just stress? What if you are actually mad? Maybe you think an idea is stupid or a colleague made a huge mistake. In the casual video we watched, they taught words like lose your temper or grouchy. Can we use those?
Absolutely not. Please never tell your boss, "I am losing my temper." That is a fast way to get fired. Anger is seen as very negative in most Western business cultures. It is seen as a loss of control. But you still need to communicate that something is wrong. You cannot just smile and say everything is perfect if it is not. The strategy here is to change anger into concern. Concern. That is a powerful shift. Anger is hot. Concern is cool. Anger is about me and my feelings. Concern is about the project and the risks. Let's look at an example. Imagine your team suggests a new marketing plan. You hate it. You think it will fail. You are angry that they are wasting money. You could say, "This is a terrible idea. I hate it." Sarah, how does that sound? It sounds aggressive. It sounds like you are attacking the people, not the idea, and it makes everyone in the room feel defensive. They will stop listening to you. Instead, you want to use phrases that express hesitation or reservation. A reservation is not just for a hotel. In business, having a reservation means you have a doubt. You are not 100% sure. So Mark, how would you rewrite that angry sentence using reservation? Okay, so instead of "this is a terrible idea," I would say, "I have some reservations about this plan," or "I have some concerns about the budget." Do you hear how that lowers the temperature in the room? "I have some reservations." It invites conversation. It says, "I see problems, let's talk about them." It is constructive, not destructive. That is perfect. I have some reservations. Another great word in this category is struggling, but not struggling like you are drowning, struggling to understand. If someone explains an idea that makes no sense or seems wrong, you don't say "you are wrong." You say, "I am struggling to understand the logic here," or "I am struggling to see how this fits our timeline." Oh, I love that one. "I am struggling to see." It puts the burden on you. You are saying, "Help me understand." It is very polite, but it clearly signals that you do not agree. It's a passive way of saying, "Explain this to me because it looks wrong." It is very effective. And there is one more phrase I want to teach here, which is about being on the same page. Yes, being on the same page means agreeing. So if you are angry because you disagree, you can simply say, "I'm not sure we are on the same page about this." This is code for "I completely disagree with you," but it sounds collaborative. I want to be on the same page, but I'm not there yet. So instead of acting grouchy or on edge, you express reservations, you mention concerns, or you admit you are struggling to see the benefit. You are turning emotion into analysis. That's what managers do. They analyze. They don't just react. Now let's move to the third and maybe the hardest situation, saying no. In the other video, you might have learned phrases like brush someone off or just saying "no way," but you cannot brush off your boss. However, you also cannot say yes to everything or you will burn out. We talked about being at capacity, but sometimes you need to refuse a specific task. The key here is to move from refusal to prioritization. This is the secret weapon of every successful employee, prioritization. When you say no, you are stopping work. When you prioritize, you are just organizing work. Let's say your boss comes to you at 4 p.m. on a Friday, we have all been there, and says, I need this report by 5 p.m., but you are already working on another urgent presentation. If you say, no, I can't do it, you look unhelpful. Right, you look uncooperative, but you physically cannot do both things. So you don't say no, you ask the boss to choose. You say, I can do that report, but it means I will have to push back the presentation until Monday. Which one is the priority for you? Push back. That is a great phrasal verb for work. To push back means to delay. I will have to push back the presentation. Notice what Sarah did there. She didn't say, I can't do it. She said, I can do it, but there is a cost. This is called the yes, but strategy, or the trade-off conversation. You show the trade-off. If I do X, then Y will be late. Exactly. You are making your boss the decision maker. You are not the one saying no, the schedule is saying no. You are just presenting the options. I would love to handle this request, Mark, but given my current bandwidth, I would have to deprioritize the client meeting. Are you okay with that? And usually the boss will say, oh no, don't miss the client meeting. Okay, do the report on Monday. You won. You said no, but you sounded like a team player who cares about the client. That is the power of professional English. It is strategic. Let's review the 3 pillars we have covered so far before we go to our listening practice. Pillar 1. Don't talk about stress, talk about capacity and bandwidth. Pillar 2. Don't talk about anger, talk about concerns and reservations. Pillar 3. Don't say no, talk about priorities and trade-offs. Now I think it is time to put this to the test. We are going to do a listening lab. This is my favorite part. Sarah and I are going to act out a scene. It is a very common scene. An employee is overworked and their boss asks for one more thing. We are going to do this scene twice. The first time, I will be the bad employee. I will use the emotional words you should avoid. I want you to listen to how it sounds. Does it sound professional? Does it sound safe? Okay, let's set the scene. I am the manager. I am walking up to Mark's desk. It is Tuesday morning. Mark is typing furiously. Okay, action. Hey Mark, sorry to interrupt, but I really need you to join the marketing meeting in 10 minutes. We need your input. Oh my God, Sarah, seriously? I am so stressed out right now. I am totally freaking out about this quarterly review. I can't handle another meeting. I am really on edge today, and this is just too much. Can you just leave me alone for a bit? And cut. Wow, Mark, that was uncomfortable. Even though we are acting, I felt awkward. As a boss, hearing that makes me think you are unstable. I am worried about you, but not in a good way. I am worried you are going to quit or explode. Yeah, it felt weak. I felt like a victim. I can't handle it. I am freaking out. It puts all the pressure on you to fix my feelings. Now let's try it the professional way. Same scenario. I am busy. I really cannot go to the meeting, but I will use the corporate code. Okay, take 2. Hey Mark, sorry to interrupt, but I really need you to join the marketing meeting in 10 minutes. We need your input. Hi Sarah, I would love to join, but I am currently at capacity with the quarterly review. If I join the meeting, I won't be able to finish the review by noon. Which one is a higher priority for you right now? Oh, I see. The review is definitely more important. Don't worry about the meeting. Keep working. Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. And cut. Night and day difference, right? Mark, how did that feel for you? It felt powerful. I didn't apologize for being busy. I just stated the facts. I am at capacity, and I gave you the choice. Which is the priority? I sounded like a partner in the business, not a victim of the business. And as the boss, I felt respected. You gave me the information I needed to make a decision. I didn't feel like I had to comfort you or calm you down. I just had to manage the schedule. That is what your boss wants. They want to manage work, not manage your emotions. This is the key takeaway for our listeners. Professionalism isn't about being a robot. It isn't about having no feelings. It is about packaging those feelings in a way that is easy for others to handle. When you say, I am at capacity, you are telling the truth about your stress, but you are doing it safely. Now, I want to address a question some of you might have. You might be thinking, but Sarah, what if I am really close with my boss? What if we are friends? That does happen, and if you have a very close relationship, you can be a little more open. You might say, I'm feeling a bit drained today. But even then, be careful. It is always safer to start formal. You can always relax later, but if you start too emotional, you cannot go back. That is great advice. Err on the side of caution, especially if you are a non-native speaker. Sometimes, because of language barriers, tone is hard to control. If you try to complain casually, it might sound ruder than you intend. Using these set phrases, at capacity, reservations, bandwidth, is like a safety net. You know they are polite. You know they are professional. They are safe zones for you. I want to give you one more specific technique before we finish. It is called the positive sandwich. We hinted at it earlier. When you have to give negative news, like saying you are overloaded or you disagree, sandwich it between two positive statements.
Right. Top bun, positive. Meat, negative. Bottom bun, positive.
Exactly. So let's look at the disagreement example again. Top bun, I think the goal of this project is fantastic. Positive. Meat, however, I have some serious reservations about the timeline. Negative, professional. Bottom bun, I am confident we can find a solution if we adjust the dates. Positive. That sounds so good. If you just said the middle part, I have reservations about the timeline, it is okay, but with the sandwich, it is excellent. It shows you are supportive of the team, goal is fantastic, and optimistic. We can find a solution. It makes the negative feedback much easier to swallow. So let's create a little challenge for you. We want you to practice this. You probably have a situation at work right now that is annoying you. Maybe a meeting that is too long, or a colleague who talks too much, or a deadline that is impossible. I want you to take a piece of paper. Write down what you want to scream. Write down the grouchy version. I hate this meeting. He is so annoying.
Then underneath that, translate it. Be your own translator. Translate I hate this meeting into I have concerns about the efficiency of our weekly sync. Translate he is annoying into I am struggling to focus when there is so much background conversation. Translate this deadline is impossible into I don't think we have the bandwidth to deliver a high-quality result in this time frame.
That is a brilliant exercise. If you can rewrite your thoughts, you will be ready when you have to speak. And actually, writing these down is a great way to cool down. If you are angry, write the professional version. It forces your brain to switch from fight or flight mode to logic mode. It actually calms you down.
It really does. You know, English is not just about grammar rules and vocabulary lists. It is a tool to get what you want in life. If you want a promotion, if you want respect, if you want a better work-life balance, these phrases are the tools to get them. Using at capacity can literally save your weekend. It can stop your boss from giving you work on Saturday. That is the power of language.
And that is why we make this podcast. We want you to use English to build the life you want. We have covered a lot today. We talked about capacity, bandwidth, reservations, concerns, priorities, and pushback. These are high-level concepts, so do not worry if you need to listen to this episode again. In fact, I recommend listening to the roleplay section a few times. Shadow us. Repeat Mark's professional lines out loud. Get used to the rhythm of saying, I'm currently at capacity.
And if you found this helpful, we have a favor to ask. Think of one friend or colleague who is also learning English and working in a professional job. Send this episode to them. Maybe they are struggling to tell their boss no. This could help them. And of course, make sure you are subscribed to the Everyday English podcast channel. We have so many more topics coming up about money, about health, about travel, all designed to help you navigate the real world.
Next time, we are going to talk about email, because if you think speaking is hard, writing is even harder. You can't use your voice or your smile to soften the message. We'll teach you how to write emails that get results without sounding rude. You do not want to miss that.
Thank you so much for listening. Remember, it is okay to feel grouchy, and it is okay to feel stressed. Just remember to put on your corporate filter before you walk into the office.
Have a great week, stay professional, and keep practicing. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.